Here we go. Hello, everybody. It's Jeff Kennedy with the Cartel and Corey Maurer with the War Pigs for week 5 recap of the Fantasy Bros. Somebody sent in a request that we be called the Fantasy Hose. I didn't feel like that was appropriate. So Fantasy
completely
Bros.
Inappropriate. Completely inappropriate.
Oh, and today's sponsor, we have Oats Overnight, the Mocha Dream. Makes me think of Rodney again. See you guys. All right, here we go. So Mocha Dream. I want to talk real quick before we get into things about Corey. We have not scripted this, so we have no idea what we're going to go with this.
Right.
Value versus cost.
All right.
So, people get so hung up on points, and I feel like if someone has 40 points and they're $2.50, if someone has 34 points and they're 75 cents, to me, that's a better value. And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously you're looking for deals, right? That's what half of our league is doing, is looking for something that fits into their salary. And I don't know how much I would attribute comparing points. And if this cat doesn't shut up, this is going to be a really fun video, but dude, enough. Anyway, yeah, I just, I don't know. I was looking through rosters again with all the new pickups and everything today, and I noticed some teams that have, 9 players plus 3 on the bench because they can't afford anything else.
Right.
And then you got, Kabasa Kings with 23 guys now. It's really just, do you trust your starters? Do you need anybody else? And do you have backups to cover those guys if injuries happen? That's pretty much it.
Well, yeah, like as an example, if you've got Dalvin Cook and you have to have Madison because you need the handcuff because Cook gets hurt, now you're tying up, I don't know what it is, $4 or whatever it is, just in one spot for one team. Yep. Again, especially in the wide receiver space, I think you can find receivers that are $1, $1.20, $1.30 that are performing every year just as good as the guys that are $3. So like, why would I pay a premium for the guy that was amazing last year and played a whole season when I can get 2 guys for the same price that are probably going to be close? Maybe they won't be as good. Maybe they will. I like options. I like to see who's getting hurt, whose quarterback gets hurt. To Rodney's point last week, is it going to be a snowstorm in Pittsburgh? Is it in a dome in New Orleans?
I can't hear anything. There you go.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, that's okay.
It's bizarre.
On your recording, it will probably be fine.
Oh yeah, I just said your internet connection's unstable. A lot of things about me are unstable. Okay, so why don't we go into what you like to do first and do a screen share. This is new. Talk about the superstar division.
Fancy. So excited.
What do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting division now. I pulled one out of my ass over the weekend. 30 points from my tight end would do that to most teams. And so now all of a sudden War Pigs are 3-2, 1 game behind the Blues. The Bots are steady at 2-2-1, and the Kings have been in fire sale mode all year. So,
and just a little note on the Bots, they would be 4-1 in reality based on who they played, and their points would be higher, I believe, than even the Blues. So they would be in first place, and it'll be an interesting situation if they were to make it all the way. I know, I guess based on that, they can't make the playoffs, so they can't win. But it would be really funny / sad if they ended up going, 14-3 or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah. What do you got on your AAD there, the All-American division?
Yeah, I won a pretty close one this week, so I'm 4-1. Sticky won handily. So he's where he's at. And then we've got, Bionic and Broad Street are both just struggling pretty hard. They've had some tough matchups. I mean, Bionic scored more points than anyone else in our division. It's just one of those luck things where, the first couple of games are so important to get a little bit of a lead going because people are going to get injured and buys are going to happen. So I would hate to be, 1-4, even 2-3 is going to be tough as you're going into the buys that happen this week, next week, the week after. And if you're unlucky like I am, you can have a bunch of players that are all off the same week. So that's what's going on.
On the numbers too, you gotta, it's hard to tell now because you had to zero out a game too. And the bots obviously had to zero out 2 games. So those numbers aren't actually, it's kind of hard to tell anymore. Like, how many points against did you have? Well, I played this guy who had to forfeit and put it up 0 and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But even without that, for your team specifically, Bionic Commando is averaging 94 points a game and he's 1-4.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I know this past weekend was insane with the amount of teams scoring over 100, but I mean, that's a team right there. You look at that and he's just getting unlucky. There's no way around that. I'm 3-2 and I'm right above him at 100 points a game, like 6 points more a game.
Yeah.
And it's, that's pretty bad. I mean, and then the next division, in the Power Pack division, you got 2 guys at 2 and 3, both right on the 90 line, average points. So everybody is that's the range, right? It looks like right now the range is mid 90s to 100 to low hundreds is what you got to shoot for. You're not going to win.
And that brings me to something I wanted to bring up, which was when I first started in this league, I want to say Jason, maybe Nandu, they're good players, said, listen, don't worry about defenses, don't fucking matter. Kickers don't matter. Like, draft your skill positions. I'll tell you what, everybody fucking matters. If I can get 6 points a game out of my defense, let's just say you could do that, or they show up with a touchdown, that absolutely could win the game, especially this year when things are so tight. And kickers are the same way. If you get a guy that gets 2 points, another guy gets 15, that easily have swung most of the games of this season.
Yeah, I think I said that last week, or at least in the review, I probably edited it or something. I have the highest scoring kicker in the league. They actually said it on Red Zone. It's like the highest scoring player in the NFL right now is, I can't even remember his name. That's how much I don't care. It's the kicker from the Bills.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Whatever that guy's name is, I don't know. And again, talking about salary, he's 1. He cost me a cool 1.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But dude, he's averaging teens a game. That's more than most of my running backs.
Exactly. I've never seen more kickers on IR than I have this year. I don't know what the fuck these guys are doing.
Or misses from extra points. That's why they're on IR, because they're terrible.
And it's so hard because you got guys that are, do you pick a good team that scores a lot of touchdowns, which I did, and then they get extra point. They win by 5 touchdowns, they have 5 points. Or right. A shitty team that gets a lot of field goals, but then they're so shitty that they don't even get close enough to get a field goal. Like, I just can't quite figure out who to pick, and I'm still not really happy with who I have, but at least he's cheap. So,
right.
Anyways, let's go into our games this week. Who do you want to talk about first?
Let's see here. Now that I can't help but look at your screen, so let's go with let's just go with the one that's up there.
Okay.
Let's go with your game and Tim. It's Cartel and Biohazards, 139 to 102. Again, Tim with good scoring. That's not bad. 100. So many teams got over 100 this week, and you just completely blew up with everyone. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys over 20, and in fact, mid to high 20s. And the only problem I see in your team was what you were just talking about. Your kicker with 3 points. Everybody else blew up, except, Darren Waller didn't do anything either, but the Raiders are in free fall right now. So,
yeah, this game he was actually, I was on a plane coming home from, where was I? Dallas. And I looked at my phone before we got on the plane, and I'm sorry, 10 minutes before I got on the plane. And Jonathan Taylor had just run a 75-yard catch for a touchdown, and I was up by like 18 or whatever it was, something. I was like, yeah, fuck Tim, I'm gonna win this game, whatever. Got in the plane, got seatbelted in, looked at my phone. Tim was up by 2 points because I guess Pittman went bonk.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. And Hollywood Brown had no catches at the half. So we get in the plane, we fly, I land. I'm still in the air landing, that we don't have Wi-Fi yet. I turn my phone on, I get the scores, I look at it, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I guess Hollywood Brown went bonkers. They were in some kind of overtime situation, and I won. That's the second game in a week where it's come down to Monday Night Football, which I love from a endorphin standpoint, but it's not great for my mental health. Also, one more thing I was going to say is how disappointed I am in Trey Sermon. I know he's got the talent. He was given the opportunity. He wasn't able to do it. I just can't. I can't figure that guy out. So I'm trying to figure out whether I hold him or drop
Yeah,
him. Drop him, being a starter. So
yeah, you got an interesting bench now. You've got two rookie running backs. One's on a horrible team, though they're playing okay, the Jets, I guess. But you know, he did score this week, so that's good. But Perrine now, or however you say his name, is on the COVID list. He's a backup, so whatever. And then Sermon, like you said, that San Francisco rushing, that's just like KC, right? Everybody has like every running back from both these teams,
right.
and nobody's doing anything. So I don't know. That's a rough one.
Yeah,
But,
I got depth across the board. It looks like those guys. I didn't play Keenan Allen. I didn't play Sutton. I was worried about his injury, but I shouldn't have been. But I'm so deep in most of the positions. They might not be like top 10 players, but deep enough to get 10 to 12 points, which is what my goal is. And if they go crazy, great. So I feel like I'm in a good spot. And I was trying to do a trade with Nandu the other day, and we just couldn't figure out how to do it because we're both doing so well. Neither of us is willing to take a chance to like upset the equilibrium that our team already has. And buys haven't started yet. So I built this team around when my buys are and their salaries. So if I trade a player and get a new player that's $2.50, it fucks up my whole financial system. I got to refigure everything out. So yeah, we'll see. The next 3 weeks will be interesting for me. And then Tim's team, going over to him for a second, when McCaffrey going down, that was his team was built around that. And then he traded away Jefferson. And, I don't really know. I mean, obviously Pittman had a great game. Hopkins is Hopkins. He goes up and down. Williams is going to be there for a little while, but I guess Montgomery's going to come back eventually, so he won't be there. To me, Josh Jacobs has been fairly underwhelming.
Great. Yeah, and like I said, the Raiders, I mean, they already were looking bad the last 2 weeks, and now their head coach goes down in flames in front of them. I can't imagine they're going to get better now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how the fuck do you lose to Chicago? The Raiders, the first 3 weeks look like one of the best teams in the league, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, they just look terrible. So I don't know. And then as far as Tim goes, he kind of got screwed. Tyler Murray only getting 13 points. That's probably going to be a season low for him this week too.
Yeah, it's true. If he had gotten 20 points even there, 30 points like he normally does, this game would have been even more close.
Still would have lost, but it would have been closer.
Take Williams out, put in CMC. You got solid wide receivers. He just got a new tight end today from Cincinnati, Usman or whatever his name is, and he's got good kickers. So, I think he's at that pivot point at 2 and 3 where it's kind of got to go at least 500 over the next 4 games to stay in the discussion for playoffs. You want to go down, 3 and 5 or something like that.
Yeah. We just got a message that the Kings would be available if you want to go to his game and have him call in maybe.
Sure. Let's see. How do I do that? Send him the message that I sent you with the meeting number on it. I'm going to .com, put that meeting number in. He can pop in.
All right.
I'll bring up the Kings here.
The inner workings right here. This is how it all works. Unless I edit this out, and then you'll never know we did this. Mm-hmm. All right, I posted it, so we'll see if he comes in.
Yeah.
We could just go on and do a different game until he does, or you could just wait. Doesn't matter.
Let's do the bots and Bionic. It's going to be pretty easy because bots aren't here.
Yeah.
I think everyone is fairly surprised at how well that team is doing, even with the lack of support from wide receivers this week. They were still able to put together a pretty round.
You're going to say without the lack of support of an owner.
And an owner. Yeah. I mean, if no one gets hurt, Kyle Pitts showing up really helped. But if no one gets hurt, this team could hypothetically make the playoffs. The issues without an owner, as injuries happen and trades, they just lose that kind of element. So I would be surprised if they stayed at the same level. But I mean, they've got a nice core. I wish I could trade them for some of these people, but they trade really hard to make happen right now.
Yeah, and like I said, Commando's just kind of getting screwed here. Gets, again, just like Tim, gets over 100 points, plays the wrong team this week, although there were a lot of wrong teams to play this week. 23 from Zeke, who seems to have had righted the ship in two good games in a row. Jalen Hurts again with another good game. Robert Woods with a good game, gets his kicker for 10, but the problem is the rest of the roster. Most biggest one on there is Tyreek with 7 points. This is a huge downgrade from what he usually gets. That's probably the game right there. Tyreek only getting 7 is that just kills you.
Tyreek's one of those players where he will disappear for a game or two,
Yep.
and he'll show up and have 45 points like he did last week. Like,
Yeah, I had him for a while, and that's exactly what drove me nuts. It wasn't consistent. It was like 2 or 3 long bombs in one game, and then catches one pass for 15 yards the next one. It's like,
and another example of how important the tight end position is, and like consistently getting 10 points, which I didn't get from Darren Waller this week. But if you can get 10 points a week from your guy, which is a touchdown and 40 yards or 100 yards, whatever, you'll be okay. When you get in those 2s and 1s, it's basically a goose egg, and you can't have 2 players that do that, much less 3. So, you got the Ravens, Conklin, and who am I missing? Ravens, Conklin, and Tyreek, or not Tyreek, Corey Davis, who's supposed to be the number 1 receiver, but he just didn't get the ball that time. So yeah, I mean, that game could have easily been won by Bionic.
and and again, as you point out, the tight ends for him, that's rough. He's got Austin Hooper and Chase McLaughlin. No, I'm sorry, Tyler Conklin. I don't even know who that is. I mean, I see it on the screen, but that's the only reason I would know that that's the Minnesota tight end. I wouldn't even know that.
How pissed would you be if you were the owner of Allen Robinson? I mean, what a talent to be on such a shit situation. And they'll talk about trading him to the Eagles, which would be great for him. But that's just so disappointing to have the lack of scoring he's gotten this year from him.
Well, and look, that the QB from Ohio State looks like shit. I mean, that whole team looks like shit, but I was surprised. I think you saw a lot of the stuff at the draft. People were talking about, oh, they're downplaying how good he's going to be, blah, 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 and all this crap. And then he gets drafted later than some people thought. And then so far, I mean, certainly fantasy-wise, he's fucking terrible. He doesn't even get double digits a game for a quarterback.
Yeah, you got him, you got Trey Lance, you got the dude from the Jets. Like, definitely rookie quarterbacks seem to be struggling a little bit. The dude from Jacksonville's doing okay, doing better.
Yeah.
I can't stand looking at his face for some reason.
I know, right?
It's the fucking punchablest face of any quarterback.
He's got that Easter Island statue face, right? That's what I think.
He's like one of the elves from Lord of the Rings. Like he needs to have a bow and arrow.
Yeah, just put some pointy ears on him, and he would be perfect.
Elvin, I fucking hate that dude. All right, let's see. Let me go up here. Got Mike Smook, the owner of the Kilbasi Kings, which has been a historical, strong team in the league, and is now just in a down cycle. I'm sure it'll cycle back around. Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Are you going to do video?
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm at work right now. Let me set up my camera.
Sure.
Next time, send me the link so I don't have to type it in manually.
Yeah. That's your
that's my fault because I don't know what I'm doing with all this. So he sends me the link and I'm like, I can't find it. And then I have to type everything in. So
it takes us like 45 minutes to set this up every day, by the way. So you're doing great. You were here quickly.
I'm turning into the old man that doesn't know how to use computers somehow.
Yeah, I forgot I have this background.
Nice. You look like you're in the owner's box.
Just so you know, that does not that's like one of those mini wieners, not a kielbasa. Maybe you should make it like a little bit.
That's half.
I didn't draw it. I just found it.
It's Tim Kroll kielbasa. Okay, here we go. Kielbasa Kings and Sticky Bandits. It looked like it was going to be a blowout from the beginning, and it kind of stayed that way all the way through. Sticky Bandits showed up, had a nice even showing from everybody. Mike Evans, had a good game. Brady fucking went bonkers. And I'm sure when you watch that Thursday night game, you have a sinking feeling in your stomach of this isn't going to be good. Did you watch the game Thursday?
I watched every game.
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's,
I thought Van Jefferson would show up a little bit more than he did. I mean, they were looking for him in the beginning. He had a chance for a touchdown. He made a mistake. And I felt like since then, Stafford just wasn't looking for him. It was just all Robert Woods rest of the game. And yeah, it sucked. 1.6. I right away knew I was in trouble. And it was going to be a really tough mountain to climb. I still had a chance. I mean, the mistake I made, I would have lost anyway, but the mistake I made was I put in Kenny Galladay instead of Sanders. I had Sanders in on Saturday, and then on Saturday I changed it to Galladay, thinking he'll finally have, 1 or 2 touchdown game, and it would have brought me a lot closer. But I would have lost anyway because you see Tucker only had 3 points, where he's normally averaging like 9 or 10 or something like that. So it still would have been a loss, but it would have been closer.
2-point conversions to my tight end. Yeah.
Sanders has been showing up lately, though, huh? I mean, Sanders has had, since you and I talked, we had a little mini trade discussion. It didn't work out, but
Yeah.
I didn't really think that highly of Sanders at the time, and I've been watching him over the last couple of weeks, and he's not Stephon Diggs, but when
He's old, right? Isn't he like 30 something? I mean, he's definitely. I thought he was old in Denver. I thought he was done when he was in Denver.
Yeah, he's still doing it. It
Yeah.
sucks to have 40
think,
points from your quarterback and still lose. Like that's got.
He's 30. It's horrible. He's 34, by the way, so he's not terribly old, but
that's really old for a receiver, though. Seriously, that's really old.
That's old for a girlfriend.
Yeah, if you're
10, I would say that's really old for a running back, but receiver, you see receivers in their mid 30s still.
Okay. I believe you.
So Mike, tell us a little bit about outside of the team. Well, actually, let's talk about Sticky Bandits a little more, and then we're gonna go back to Mike's team. Looking at the bench here, Sticky pretty much played the perfect game. Put his perfect lineup in. There's a couple little things here and there. He could add an extra point from Alex Collins for Elijah Mitchell, whatever. But he played the perfect lineup. So credit to him. And that recent trade where he went into Tim's fanny pack and stole Justin Jefferson when he wasn't paying attention. I think that's gonna end up being a good move.
That was a huge trade.
Oh,
a huge trade. And I think trading Jacobs for Justin Jefferson, I think right now it's in Sticky's favor for sure. I think Jacobs is a good player. I mean, I've had him since he was a rookie, but I just feel like he'll have big games and then he disappears. And it's been like that for a long time. And I think Justin Jefferson's very consistent, and he's going to be getting double-digit points pretty much all the time, I feel. So I think this is a good trade for Sticky. I mean, right now we all say that Biohazard, like we don't know what he was doing, but who knows? I mean, maybe later on it's going to work in his favor.
I have a note in 3 weeks on my calendar that says, check and see if Biohazard's trade was any good. Because we were going back and forth. I was like, I bet you in 5 weeks you're going to regret it. He's like, fine, check it out. So I've got it written down to remind me. I'll be talking.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
What else? Okay, so let's go back to Kibasa Kings. This is like a holistic conversation about your team. Obviously, you got a couple of holes there.
Yeah.
So the running game is just a fucking mess. I bet if you combine all your running backs together, you'd have like 2 healthy ones and 11 points. What's your goal here? Like, what are you going to try to do it in the draft? You can try to make trades, or are you just kind of settling in and giving up on the season? Like, where's your head at right now?
I think my head at right now is it's probably just not going to be a good season for me, and I'm just kind of playing for the future a little bit. I traded away CEH. I got my first round, or not my first round pick, but I got a first round pick back, a third, and then a first the following season.
That was good.
Just came to the realization, and honestly, that was a good trade for me because I would not get any value for CEH right now with that injury.
Yep.
So I think for the long run, I'm fine with it. I think in short term, I'm more about just trying to be the person that upsets other teams. People are going to be playing me thinking they're going to win, and I'm hoping I'll jump in and create some upsets and screw people's playoff hopes. I think that'll be fun. I do see some potential. I mean, Javonte Williams, I think not this year, but maybe next season will take over. Hopefully Dobbins will be back full strength next year. I'm excited to see Rashad Bateman, what he can do. I also just picked up, what's the guy's name from the Giants, Tony. Kadarius Toney, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I want to see how he does. I love what I see from Dawson Knox. I think he's got potential. And then Justin Herbert's probably going to be my keeper QB for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lost season, I feel. It's about playing spoiler now. But, you know, anything can happen. Like Jeff Wilson can come back in later November and suddenly helps me win some games in a row, and suddenly I'm in playoff hunt at the very end of the, you know, the list there, but you never know. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
it's a 17-week season, so the losses hurt a little bit less, 1/16, I guess. And you definitely have a team geared for the future. A lot of young players that could end up being something that will be a hard thing for you to figure out who your keepers are going to be. You're not going to keep Emmanuel Sanders, 33, over
No.
Chanel or somebody like that, or Bateman. So pretty disappointed in Zach Ertz. I remember when he was like a top 3 or top 4 tight end, and the name alone carries him. And for whatever reason, he, you know, Goddard kind of took over for him, and that sucks. But it's interesting that you said you wanted to play, you know, the spoiler and screw people's playoff hopes. I could tell that you were related to Corey. There's no better feeling than being like 11th in the league and beating the number 2 guy and knocking him out of his, you know, the bye week. It's just,
Yeah.
It's almost as good as winning. Tell me about, oh, by the way, the CEH trade, and this goes for the league. If there's ever a trade that, I don't know how to put this, that screws the untouchables, I am a big fan of that. And I'm in favor. You can trade a hurt running back for like 7 picks and a back massage. I think that's a great deal. Good job for that. What's your biggest strength? I mean, is it youthful players, or do you know, what do you think your biggest strength is?
I think it's probably going to be the youthful players, but the thing is, you just never know with these guys right now. It's still early. I just don't want to make the mistake I made before by being impatient and trading away a young guy because I was hoping to get 10, 15 points a game right away.
Yeah.
And my biggest example of that is trading away Derrick Henry, or trading away Aaron Jones, you know, or even McCaffrey. McCaffrey was good, but he wasn't as great as he became after I traded him. And just looking back at it now, it's like I just need to have patience. I got young guys. Yes, it could be a shitty season, but if I play the cards just right, I mean, these guys could end up being good players, and you know, next year could be a much better year for me.
For sure.
Yeah, you seem like the Lions, and when people leave your team, they get really good, right? They become the better versions of themselves once they leave the Kings. Then they're the best they can be. But
yeah, lately it seems that way.
So if you had to pick your keeper 5 right now, who are you going to take?
So Herbert, I would keep Javonte. I would keep Dawson Knox, Dobbins, and then my last one.
I keep forgetting
based
about
on
Dobbins.
what I'm reading.
Javonte Williams would be a last.
Oh, you said
No, I
that
didn't
one.
mention him. Honestly, based on what I saw last week, I'll probably go with Tony if he continues to show that he's like the number 1 guy for the Giants.
Do you think he will be when Shepard and Galladay come back?
I think they want him to be. I mean, he was a first-round pick for them, right? So
I didn't know.
Yeah.
we'll see.
He can also throw a nice left hook.
Yeah. And, you know, what if Bateman looks to be good and looks to be the guy that Lamar needed all this time? I don't know.
Right.
That would be – so it would be pretty much between Bateman and Tony as my last person to pick.
Well, unless your name is Nandu, it's really hard to be good every year. Like we all go through cycles where like there's times 4 years ago where I was the last, I got first pick. And then there's times where I've been the top and haven't made the playoffs. And I think we just kind of go through cycles. And I think you're just at that cycle where you've been relevant and good for a while, and now you're rebuilding and you're getting new players. And, you know, next year, or even the year after, you'll probably be back in competition for that kind of top spot. So
and the crazy thing is, like, my point average isn't that horrible. And if I made the right choices for a couple of weeks, I could have been like above 500 right now with a shitty team.
Yeah.
You know,
talked about that earlier. There's so much parity in the league right now, and there hasn't been. There's teams that have kind of perennially been at the bottom, and they're winning games, and like everybody could go to the last game, and one player different makes a difference, and that makes it more fun. I mean, it sucks to lose a close game, but also if it's a blowout, it's not super fun to watch Sunday Night Football when all the games are decided or whatever. So I
Yeah,
like.
I mean, a good example I would say is like Bionic Commandos. They're what, 1-4 now, and I feel like his team is much better than the record states right now.
Yep.
It's just
We
bad
already
luck
said that
with his
actually.
matchups.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Yep.
I play him this week, so who knows? I might make him even
Yep.
worse in his record. But
I think
don't
the
know.
only team that anybody's afraid of playing is the bots team. I'm not afraid of anybody else. The bots team just running through people. So cool. Anything else you want to share with us?
No, thanks for having me, guys. I have fun even if my record is not very good, and I think what helps me is those little bets I make every week on BetMGM or something. I think it just makes things interesting, even if my team sucks. But I think, yeah, I just see potential in the future, and I think if I can play spoiler a few times, and especially against Corey, that's always the most fun.
Hey,
And
come
I
on.
think we play each other when I'm at your house next weekend.
Oh, great.
It'd be awesome.
Those are always fun. Those are always fun. Stare
Yeah.
at the TV all
Yeah.
day and then one of us is pissed after that.
We're all friendly, right? Everyone in the league knows each other to some degree. And, there's people I'm not emotional about playing. Like, I'm not emotional about playing Bionic Commandos. Like, if he wins, good job. I win, good job, whatever. But man, I really want to beat the people I know the best. I really don't want to lose to Rodney. I don't want to lose to Tim, Corey. Like, there's certain people that I just really, really, really want to win. And I don't know. Good luck to you. I hope you win next week.
Good luck, Mike.
Yep. And I know exactly what you're saying. There's some teams that I'm like, man, I just want to beat those guys. Like untouchables for me, and nothing against Bruni. I just, he likes to talk trash a little bit. And
Yeah.
if I ever get a chance to beat him, it's always a fun thing. But yeah,
This is how
I know what you mean.
This is how I measure it. If I saw that somebody had a team that was over the salary and I knew it, would I call them and say, hey, bud, you're over the salary or not? I absolutely wouldn't do that for Bruni. I'm telling you, I would see it. I would text everybody, and I would wait till the game started and be like, gotcha. So anyways.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
See you, bud.
All right, Mike.
See ya.
By the way, I can't wait to have Bruni on this as a guest. This is gonna be amazing.
Oh, so much shit talking.
Oh my
That would
God.
be amazing.
All right, let's keep running through this. Let's see. We did Bots, we did Kabasi Kings. Let's do Honolulu Blues lead dogs. Thought.
Yeah, crazy game.
Yeah.
That is, I just wanted to point out when I said earlier, all these teams scoring over 100, 9 out of the 12 teams scored over 100 this week. And then again with Bionic getting like 94 and a half. It's like no, not Bionic, Bad Company. But anyway.
Well, if you look at Honolulu Blues, as he usually does, played a perfect lineup. There's nothing he could have changed. Part of that's because he only has like 4 options on the bench. But
Right.
nothing he could have changed. He played exactly the way he would have at the peak. Had Rodney played Lamar Jackson with 43 points, he would have won, which would have been a hard pill to swallow for the Blues to lose with 130 points scored. But,
right.
When we talked to Rodney last week, he was like, look, I'm looking at all these different things and looking at whether it's going to be sunny. Are they going towards the sun and the humidity factor? And yes, that should be a factor. But at the end of the day, you almost have to just like play your best player unless something drastic happens.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold had the numbers, right? But if you're polling the league and saying, okay, you've got Darnold and you've got Lamar Jackson, who are you picking? Nobody's going to pick Darnold, right? And unfortunately, I play Rodney this week, so he put Lamar Jackson back in, so now I'm screwed. But that is just that was he fell in. I'm sure he would say this. He fell in with the moment.
Yep.
Saw Darnold's numbers are like, wow, this dude's awesome. He's blowing up.
Yep.
And he sat his best player because of it. And that's what happens sometimes, right? You look at the numbers and he kind of ignored the star quality. So,
100%. And I mean, Philly does have a good defense. It's this kind of sneaky good defense. I don't like to play people against. There's a couple teams I don't like to play against, but they were playing at Carolina. He probably should have done better than 12 points. But yeah, that's a good thing about Jackson, Mahomes, Allen. There's a couple quarterbacks like Dak Prescott probably is never going to put 45 points up, but there's a couple of quarterbacks that can do it, and you're just playing the averages and hoping that you hit. It's like rolling the roulette wheel. So
Yeah. Another thing is look at these two rosters, like you said, these are the shortest rosters in the league. They have to be. These guys have no choices other than quarterback for Rod. They don't have any choices to put any other players in. I mean, if Kittle is healthy, that will be who he plays on Nandu's side.
Well, I mean,
Rod doesn't have any choices here. So again, you're looking at two teams where one injury could just completely ruin their season.
Yeah, and I'm not looking at Rod's roster right now as far as like the salary goes, but when you're carrying two top whatever, a top quarterback, and then also a very good quarterback, you're going to just pay the salaries. That's a lot of money to tie up in one position that could have been used to give you depth other places. But then you go into, is there depth to be had in running back? Probably wide receiver, you could do better than Cole Beasley. But at some point, once the buys are done, they'll probably have to just drop Darnold, take that cash and buy some other people to get him through the season.
Yep, for sure.
Cool. So we did all those. Did we do? Oh, let's do your game. Did we do that game? No.
Sure. Yeah, like I said here, man, this was huge. Thursday night football. I lose my quarterback midway through like the third quarter or the start of the fourth. He already hadn't done shit in that game, and I'm like, well, I'm done.
Yep.
I just assumed because he's averaging like 25 points or something, I get 11. And then I think Eckler wasn't until like the afternoon game. He blows up for almost 30. So I was like, oh shit, I might have a shot here. And then everybody, Monday Night Football, the Ravens in the second half, just out of nowhere. He's just like, yeah, I forgot I had this sweet tight end. Maybe I should throw to him. Because he hasn't done shit. I mean, he was averaging like 6 points a game before this. And he hits for 30. And obviously I don't think he's going to get 30 probably ever again. But if that right there changes my season because he remembers he's got this awesome tight end that was really good last year, then that will be huge. And yeah, that's it. I got two guys scoring 30. That's half my points. And everybody else was okay. Obviously with the injury with Russell Wilson, but then on the other side, bad company, he gets almost, Tannehill didn't get hurt. I don't think they get 37 points and he gets 13 from Tannehill.
Yep. It's all Derrick Henry,
and then again, he's got Winston sitting on his bench who gets 30. So there's your win right there. It's another quarterback flop.
And Antonio Brown, who I don't know who would start him over AJ Brown. So
well, that's the question right here, right? Like the one I would look at was, and he still scored, but James Conner over Antonio Brown right now. I don't know. Like maybe next week he flips those and goes with three receivers and the two running backs. Well, I don't know. Mixon's banged up too. He's still got 9, but I was looking at that when Antonio Brown Brady loves him. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Well, and plus Gronk's out, so that gives him
right. One less guy that he can throw to, and he looks really good. I'm surprised, honestly. That's another older guy who had lots of problems for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden, speaking of guys with lots of problems, there's Josh Gordon on the same roster, but he likes head cases. That owner.
Oh, by the way, I heard a comment the other day that was sad, but that made it kind of humorous, but not in like a. Anyways, the guy said the only people that have more concussions than NFL players are their girlfriends and wives.
Oh.
Think about it. If you have everyone's getting mad about the Gruden thing, and rightfully so, but you got guys that have like Tyreek Hill choked his pregnant girlfriend. People have knocked people out. Like, it's anyways, I'm not gonna go into that, but there's a lot of that going on in the NFL and probably all sports and probably life in general, but they're on a stage. Yeah. We hear about it. Anyways, Hawkinson with 2.2 is kind of a big disappointment as well. I think
that was somebody they were looking at top 5 tight ends this year, right? That's what a lot of people were estimating for him.
Well, he's supposed to be their outlet pass, and he's been getting the looks. It hasn't really turned into those numbers yet. And
they suck. I mean, Goff Goff is Goff. Why do you think the Rams are like, fuck yes, we'll get rid of him and take Stafford?
Oh, for sure.
They jumped all over that. I mean, I'm sorry that he looks worse every week that he's out there.
You know,
And fantasy wise, his numbers, I'm talking about Goff right now.
yeah.
His numbers go down or have been going down like every week. So
Goff for Stafford is equivalent to Josh Jacobs for Justin Jefferson.
right, exactly. Except maybe even worse, honestly. But
all right, that's all there is really to talk about on this. A lot more bench points for Bad Company. You know, he's 2-3. You're 3-2. A lot of football left. Really, either of those guys could still make it.
yeah, he's not out of it at all.
I think this is the last game I have. Yeah, Broad Street and Untouchables, two teams going in different directions. Broad Street again has put up enough points to win any given week. They've just been beat. Didn't get any points from their wide receivers. Saquon got hurt, which of course, if he had gotten 20 points, that would have been a lot closer.
Right.
Brady balled out, but just not a little bit, just an anemic showing from his team.
I mean, Bully is right. You're talking about that's 3 losses in a row. He started 1-1. And I'm just looking at it right now. He has the least amount of points in the league. So, you're looking at the 82 like, oh, that's a good number, but it's not anymore. Like we said earlier, you got to get mid 90s to have a shot. And yes, he got a win earlier this season, scoring like 77 or some shit,
Yeah.
Played the right guy at the right time. But 82, you think you get a quarterback that scores 37, it's like, holy shit, you're going to win. But look at the rest of his team.
His only win was against Jason. And I mean, it was a loss, but it was a win because we vacated it. So that was his.
Well, I forgot about that. Yeah. So, but I mean, the rest of his team is 3s. He's got 9 points combined for all his receivers.
If he had played Claypool and Devontae Booker over Barkley, which he would never do, let's just say he did, then he could have probably tied it. But
yeah.
So I mean, it's possible. I hope that he's Terry, I love you. It's fairly hard to trade with. He thinks his team is really good and doesn't want to make any changes. So cool, but he's probably at some point going to button everything down and just say, cool, let's play for picks and next year, because I don't know that you can come back from 1-6 and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have less choices now because of the Saquon injury, and I think I don't know how to say it, Ayuk from San Francisco.
Yeah, Ayuk.
I think he's hurt too or something, so he's going to have to plug in those guys anyway.
Well, thankfully, he has 44 people on his bench, so there's
right, exactly. He's got a lot of guys, but and on the other side, you got to give it up for Untouchables, right? And I think that's another one of these teams. He's got a lot of injuries, and he's still winning. He didn't need a lot to win this week, but still 114 is nothing to sneeze at, obviously. Jamar Chase continues to look awesome. Madison in replace of Dalvin Cook. I mean, that's the dream right there. Your handcuff goes for 20. That's the dream. If you know that he's already hurt. And then Josh Allen with 36 is just, that's another guy you just don't take out. Like you said, you don't take him out even if you've got another quarterback, which he doesn't right now, you just don't take him out.
Yeah, and like you said earlier about some of the other teams, Michael Thomas isn't playing yet. Julio didn't get any points; he's injured. Like he doesn't have a lot on his bench to pick from.
And they're all hurt. I mean, they're all hurt. I mean, look at it. Michael Thomas. I don't know if he's coming back this year. Cook's hurt. Chase got hurt. I thought. Marlon Mack he just picked up, which could be good, but he's big injury history. Him, David Montgomery's hurt.
The Chiefs. Mack's gonna go to the Chiefs, so like then you're back in the Chiefs hell of. Who knows who's playing any given day. Right. Montgomery will be back in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, he's kind of putting together. It's like he's putting together bubble gum and straw and trying to, figure out. Actually, I play him this week, so I know he picked up some players, and I don't want to lose to him. It'd be fucking shitty. Okay, so that's that. Let's do this real quick. We're running out of time. Let me go to let's see here. League playoff brackets. Nope, that's not what I wanted. League projected playoff seedings. So this is projected. This is not anything could happen, but this just kind of gives you an idea of where you're at. I've got a software that gives me percentages of what people are, how likely they are to win and how likely they are to make the playoffs. So I would imagine if you're in that Kabasi Kings, Bionic, Broad Street Bullies, you're probably already thinking about next year and how you can gear things up. But between Bad Company all the way up through probably Untouchables or War Pigs, there's still a lot of football left. Like, you know, you could win 3 in a row, you could lose 3 in a row. Some player you could pick up could blow up. This is just like an interesting what they think is going to happen. Interesting to see.
Yeah. I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait, why are you first? But I guess it's winning percentage because of the tie and no losses, right?
I don't know how they do that. The thing that I use at home, it figures out all your projected points and who you're playing and their projected points out through the rest of the season and strength of schedule. And like, it's pretty complicated, but it doesn't matter if you have Josh Allen and all of a sudden tomorrow you don't. Everything
Right.
changes. So it's only a snapshot, like an appraisal on a house. It's a snapshot in time. Anything could change. It's just kind of cool to see.
Yep.
Let's do one last thing. Let's do schedule. Let's go to our week 6 head-to-heads.
Week 6, yeah.
Go ahead and call them now. Yeah, give me 3 seconds per response. Each company, each team, who you think is going to win.
All right, I'll stick to it this time. So start at the top. You got to go Blues.
I agree.
Most powerful team in the league right now, I think.
I agree.
Lead Dogs, that could be interesting with Lamar, but I'll say this, I have an advantage because if he goes to the tight end again, that's my guy. So I'll be getting plus points on that.
It's true.
So I'm going to take myself just because of that, just because of the Andrews.
I'm taking Lead Dogs on this. I think Lead Dogs is due for another win. We'll see.
All right. I think the next one's easy. Biohazards.
For sure.
Even with his problems, it has a much better roster than the Bullies do.
For sure.
Untouchables and Cartel. That's the big one, I think, this week, right? This is game of the week. Not sure, without seeing the roster there, why they've got Untouchables favored by 8, but
I've got a lot of people on buys. Like all my guys are on, most of them.
he's got a lot of people hurt though. That's the thing, right? He just lost another one. So, wow.
The backup guy just picked up Evans from Cincinnati. I don't think Mixon's going to be 100%. He's going to mix him in. He's
a
probably
rookie from Michigan.
Yeah, on paper, he's probably only showing a forecast of 2 or 3 points. So they're probably factoring that in. I think it'll be higher than that.
I don't know.
This is
again, without looking at it, not knowing which guys you have on buy, I would say Untouchables.
Yep.
That's more of a push. I wouldn't bet on this if you let me.
God, I'm gonna be so mad if he beats me. Anyway, he probably will. This is the 1 week where I'm set up to lose, so we'll see. Sticky Bandit spots.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat here, and I'm actually gonna look at the roster really quick and just to see if there's anybody else on by. Kyle Pitts is on by for the bots, and then Sticky's got Elijah Mitchell on by. So just looking at that, I mean that Justin Jefferson is such a huge trade and player for him. Chris Godwin for the bots is questionable, but if he plays, I got to go with the bots, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I would agree with the bots continue to roll. And then we've got Bionic Commandos and Kielbasa Kings.
Yeah, and again, as I said earlier, I think one of the best worst teams is the Bionic Commandos at 1-4. Points don't say that his record should be that bad.
Yep.
Kings, unfortunately, we just talked to him and we looked at his lineup. There's not a lot there besides quarterback and tight end. So you got to go Commandos here.
Agreed. So we got Honolulu Blues. We disagree on Lead Dogs, War Pigs, Biohazards. We both agree Untouchables. We both agree bots. We both agree Bionic Commandos.
All right.
Cool. You heard it here first. Corey, I don't know that you're going to be able to have time to do your cool editing. So
I think probably today we'll just post it, especially because you did the screen share. There's less for me to put on the screen anyway.
Oh, cool.
So everybody's going to be seeing this. I think we should just post it, and I think we'll be good. So makes it easier for me today.
Cool. I appreciate your time today. Everybody, good luck, except for Untouchables, and see you next week.
Good week.
Bye.
See you.